if you're not playing and coaching, let me say this. We coach for two things. We coach to win. We coach to make better men. If you're not doing those two things, you need to find another job. And so our philosophy is we're going to try and play the best football we can at the end of the season. We'll see what happens.
All right, everybody, welcome back on Unwired Appalachia podcast. We got a special guest, East Ridge coach Donnie Burdine, one of my favorite coaches to sit down and talk football with. It's always interesting, always a great perspective. Coach, if you're here, that means the season's right around the corner. How's things going for you guys right now? You know, with practice starting, you guys getting underway. What things looking like right now? So it's so early, but what things looking like early on for you guys?
Well, I'm excited. I know that. I don't know about the kids, but I'm excited. I love it when football season finally gets back around. You work so hard to get back to these next few months, and man, it's just time, and it feels good outside. And I wish the Lord would keep all the rain away for a little while. But outside of that, yeah, I feel like we look pretty good. You know, our numbers are down a little bit, but I don't know what's going on. I feel like numbers are down all over the state, it seems like, this year. I've had a lot of my friends tell me, you know, Coach, we've only got X amount of guys out. You know, I'm used to having 38 to 42 at this time of year, and we got 28, you know, so I don't know what's up with that, but I do know that I've got more kids that can play than I've had since I've been at East Ridge. So, I mean, that's a good thing. They're young, but I got a lot of players, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, last year you guys were young too, but I thought you all, week in, week out, you played hard. Your kids showed improvement. You always come up with interesting play styles too that confuse people. Just so many. I know you look at the record, but you had so many games that you bothered people and you played so hard and competed. Just talk about that aspect of it. Just going out hard, being young and having small numbers, but going out and being a problem for teams and really competing and never giving up until that final whistle.
Well, we want to always take pride in our fight. And I just got done fussing at them a few minutes ago before I came down. We were in 7-on-7 today with Lawrence County, which is a good football team, by the way. Good coach. Love Coach Short. He's a heck of a guy. Came all the way up on the hill to play with little old us, and I appreciate him for that. But anyway, I'm always preaching to our guys competitiveness and fight. I get on to them all the time, give them a hard time. I tell them, when I came to the mountains, I thought I was going to get a bunch of tobacco chewing, fist fighting rednecks, and I got a bunch of mama's boys, and we got to be tougher than what we are. And they don't like that, but they take that to heart, and they buck up and get a little tougher. Our goal is always at East Ridge is just to come out and fight. If they'll go out and fight, good things happen. You know, you said, kind of took a step back from what we've been the last couple of years last year, but that's just breaks didn't go our way. We're a little bit athletically challenged last year, either young for our athletes or our older athletes probably shouldn't have been playing those spots, but they're great kids. I tell everybody, probably the funnest year I've had so far in the last 15, 20 years was coaching a group last year that went 2-8, but they were awesome kids. They played hard. They listened. They gave me everything they had. They just didn't have enough to get over the hump. But you're right. You know, when I came, people laughed when I said, we're going to play Paintsville. We're right there at the end of the game.
Absolutely.
With Paintsville. And people say, you know, we can't compete with this team or that team. And I just tell our boys, we can play with anybody. If you keep your head screwed on right, you buckle down, play hard, play tough. Last year was a good example of getting what they could get. You know, 2-8, yeah, that's not great. But they were in 5 or 6 ball games, hot and heavy to the very end. We just didn't have enough athleticism and age experience to get over that hump. I feel like this group is quite a bit more athletic than what we put on the field. Well, I know it is. It's quite a bit more athletic than what we put on the field last year. And our line is a lot older and more mature. And we're still young. We got 2 seniors.
Mhm.
2 seniors. So next couple of years we're gonna be somebody that I'm not saying we're gonna go out, win the district, win the region. I'm saying you're gonna have to beat us. We're not
Yeah.
gonna give it to you. So we'll see what we do with it.
Yeah, you mentioned that line, and a lot of stuff starts there for you guys, especially that style of play, because you never know who's going to get the ball, whether it's a direct snap to this kid or that kid, the guy, emotion, whatever. Just talk about the job that line has to do for you, because there's a lot of stuff that these kids got to do, because there's a lot of different assignments, a lot of moving pieces and parts.
That's so funny everybody's like, that's not what I played before I came here. I'm a spread, triple option, gun type team. You saw my blue play early. That's what I have. That's what I cut my teeth on as an offensive guy, and that's what I like. But you got to do what you got to do with what you got. And we stumbled on that a couple years ago when we couldn't throw the ball 10 yards down the field, and we had to do something. We made that switch, and people seem to struggle with it a little bit. Even when we're not very good, they struggle with it. So offensive line-wise, you're right there, but we've got it down to where they're just listening for a certain tagline, and that tells the offensive line, no matter what, all the other stuff that's going on, all the junk behind you, doesn't matter. You're just listening for that tagline. You do the tagline, and you're fine. And that's been real good for them. They've been able to understand, okay, so I'm going to block this. Doesn't matter what's going on in the back. We've been working on some new wrinkles to that this year, and some of it is absolutely crazy. But the guys up front, they never see what's going on behind them. They just listening for the tagline, and they're fine. So, biggest thing about our offensive line this year, and I am so proud of those guys. When the season ended, we don't have many. I mean, we're gonna have 9 or 10 linemen total. You'll play offense and defense with.
Yeah.
But the guys I got, they went in the weight room and they put in the work. And, Lawrence County came today and we did 7-on-7. We did a little lineman challenge. One of the last things we did was we put 315 pounds on the trap bar. And we put 5 guys out there and they did a 100-yard relay with 315 pounds. And Lawrence County's a good football team. And they gave us the business in 7-on-7 in a couple of those 7-on-7 games we played today. But my guys beat them by a full minute in the farmer's walk there with 315 pounds, not because they're anything special, because they worked super hard. Yeah. I'm just proud of them. They've worked, and people will see that on our line. Mm-hmm. And as well as I do, what we're running right now, if the line gets off and does their job, we got a chance to beat anybody.
Absolutely. And just talk about, for those out there who don't know, who's some of the kids running that ball behind the line, because those linemen, if they do their job right, nobody will ever know their names, but all the guys behind them will get they'll be in the paper, they'll have the touchdowns, they'll have all the yards. I always think it reflects on the linemen what the other guys do.
I agree with you. So I'll go over the guys up front in a minute, but the guys in the backfield, they'll be running the ball. Speedy Braden Wilson, you probably seen him play basketball last year. He was a sophomore. He's going to be a junior this year. Been a couple years since he played football. He's a great addition to our team. He's a really fast, athletic back. He's not real big, but I mean, he's big for his size. He knows where the weight room is. He works super hard. He's a great kid. He listens. He's a yes sir, no sir kind of kid. Ramey, and you got to forgive me. My boys know I give them all nicknames because I'm also with names.
Trust me, I know there's so many names.
So Kanan Ramey is going to be our quarterback this year. He's an incoming freshman, but if you know anything, like you're doing sports all the time, you know who Kanan Ramey is. He's a great athlete. He's going to give us an athletic element in the backfield that we maybe didn't have last year. And he can throw the ball. He's not where I want him yet, but he can put the ball down the field. And I tell you what, we played 4 or 5 games today, and none of his passes were those crazy passes where you're like, who's he throwing to? He had none of those.
Yeah.
He had a couple bad reads, but for the most part, his reads were right. His ball placement's right. He's got good zip on the ball. He's a good quarterback. I tell my son all the time, your record's not going to stand long, because Kanan Ramey has the potential to be maybe the best quarterback to ever play at Eastridge.
Oh, wow.
And Dylan is helping me coach him, and he's doing a good job with him. And I've hired some young guys to just, put a little spark in those kids, and they seem to like it. But Kanan's doing really well. Speedy is what we call Braden Wilson. He's doing really well. But probably the bright spot on our offense is Cole Ratliff. Cole's going to be a junior, thought he was going to be a quarterback. Didn't work out for Cole. Cole's a great baseball player. He's a really good athlete. Cole was probably the best kid on the field today on either side of the ball. And if you turn sideways, you can't see him. He's thin as a rail, but he can play. And he put on a pretty good show today. He caught several touchdowns. Great on the defensive side of the ball. Not real heavy, but long and athletic, and I like him. And he's going to play back he was playing running back last year in that offense, and he was a lot smaller last year. And by the end of the year, Cole was a handful then, and he's a much better player right now than he was last year. So I'm really excited for Cole, because I think everybody kind of thought, and I did too, Cole was going to be a quarterback, and it didn't work out. But he's a dandy wide receiver. He's an excellent running back. He's like he's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Cole can do anything you ask him to do, and I love players like that, throwback players to the old day. You say go line up outside, he lines up outside. Go line up at the slot, he lines up at the slot. He can do anything.
Yeah.
And I love kids like that. And he's going to be a dandy, man, and you'll see him probably have a breakout season. And those three guys will be our primary carriers. We got Caden Stewart. Caden Stewart's going to be a junior. He's a good little athletic back. Now, when we walk on the field and you see our skill players, you're going to be like, Coach told me those guys were going to be good. Ain't none of them over 5'8". They're short, but man, they're athletic. I'm telling you, they're going to make a good little football team. I'm excited to watch them.
Yeah, you give some of your offensive linemen a little bit of shine now. I mean, we mentioned them, but we really didn't get into them and let you give them a little shine. Give those guys some shine right now.
Okay, I got 3 or 4 of those guys that are, I'm going to start 4 juniors or seniors. I'm going to start 1 freshman. The freshman is doing a great job. Now, I ain't going to say his name, not because I don't know it, because I actually know it, but because he's a freshman. He's not done anything yet, so he didn't get praised yet. But Jacoby is back at center. He did a great job last year. Jacoby can directional snap left or right to either one of those backs. He can gun snap. He can under center snap. Does fine job back blocking. He's going to play inside linebacker for us on the defensive side of the ball. He must look at, man, but he can play. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure the girls think he's cute, but as a football player, but he can absolutely play. He's a great center. I love having him there because it frees. I've got 2 guys that can probably play college football at center, at smaller colleges at AI level. Morgan Sloan. Morgan Sloan's as good a center as I've ever seen, but he doesn't have to play center because I got Jacoby and I can move Morgan out and he can play tackle. And Morgan has worked on his body last year. He's 275, 280 pounds. He's going to come play this year at 248 because he moved over to go on the defensive side of the ball. I've moved him from defensive line to inside linebacker. He's going to play. He's 6'1", 248 pounds. He's a great tackle. His feet are better. He's just more athletic. He's older, good lineman, really good, solid lineman. Ian Ramey. Ian's smartest kid in our school. He tells everybody on the line what to do. Every blocking, if somebody has a question, he can tell anybody on the line what they're supposed to do. I think kid's got like a 35 or 36 ACT score. And he's 6'1", 275. He's a brute and a gentleman at the same time. I love to watch him play. And then Caden Coy, he's going to play guard on the left side. Last year he was in and out some. Caden's biggest problem last year was couldn't carry his body weight around very good. He's 330 pounds, and Caden came in the off season and he worked. It's hard on a big guy to work.
Absolutely.
He couldn't box jump 16 inches when we started. He box jumped about 3.5, 4 feet now. Matter of fact, he was the second best guy on the Farmers Walk today on either team. Him and Morgan were the 2 best guys. Funny story. His mom and dad are like horses. They like to race horses. And so McCoy said, "I'm going to be on the farmer's walk." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I carry them water buckets up and down the hill, those horses all day long. He's got to do something, Coach." And we do a lot of farmer's walk in our off-season program and stuff, but he snatched hold of it and ran it 20 yards. And he's really worked hard on his body, and he has become a really solid offensive lineman for me. Plus, he's 6'1", 300 pounds. So, when you get big guys like that and they'll move and they can lift and they throw their weight around a little bit, he's hard to handle.
Yeah.
We have a rule: get ran over slow. Ain't nobody gonna run him over. So we're okay right there. But those guys are going to be really, really solid. So you got Ian, Morgan, Jacoby, and Caden, and then you got my freshman. I give you his nickname, but I ain't going to tell you his real name, J-Dog. And now next year we'll be throwing shine on J-Dog because he'll be a sophomore. But those 5 guys are really solid. We got 2 good backups, and that's about as deep as we get.
Yeah. Now switching gears, I know you guys when you can, you like to get after people on defense. Last few years, I thought your secondary's been really good, and when you get the other guys, when they start developing, putting a lot of pressure, good things happen once that happens. Where's this defense going to be at right now? Is it going to take a minute, or is it you're going to see some stuff right away?
I don't want to be too crazy now. We're coming off a 2-8 season. You know what I mean? I don't want to sound ridiculous, but when I watch them, Randy, I feel like they got a potential to be the best defense we've had here. Doesn't mean it will be. We lost a couple kids we didn't expect to lose. One to sickness. He had actually it was an injury. It was an old injury, but it was flaring up, giving him trouble. And he goes to the doctor, and the doctor tells him, you've had a fracture in your neck at some point in time in the past. You probably don't need to play football.
Wow.
So that was a starting corner that we thought we were going to have. He's gone. On the other corner, Talon. Talon's not with us right now, so that's a big loss over there. So both corner positions that I thought were locked down and ready to go aren't locked down and ready to go. But my guys I used today played fine. We're making a little change up front. I felt like you hit on something. We were pretty good in the secondary last year. We were horrible against the run. Probably the worst we've been since I've been here. And we were running a 3-4 scheme, and kids, if you don't know a lot of football, 3-4 can really give you trouble if your kids aren't really intuitive and ready to be able to pick those things up. So we had some guys struggle in the 3-4 last year. I ran 40 my first year here. We're going to go back and run our 40 base. So we can run a 40 base, a G base. It's kind of like a 4-2-5. It's very similar. Get that extra guy up on the line. I don't have to have certain bodies anymore. 40 in high school, you're liable to have 280 pounders up there playing.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be faster, more athletic on the defensive side of the ball. I'll tell you this. I feel like that we're as fast or faster than we've ever been on the defensive side of the ball. I'd love to have a Stevie Todd, one of those swole athletic linebackers that just tackles everything. And I would love to have a roll down safety like my boy was his last year. I'd like to have a safety like Zach Mason over top. But overall, I feel like this is going to be probably the best unit we've had. Now, we don't have individual pieces. Maybe that we got one guy runs a 4.46 hand time, a 4.45 hand time. Everybody else in hand times in the 4.7s, besides the defensive line. But I feel like they've learned so much already, and they've came together so well that they're going to gel and make a pretty good defensive unit. We worked real hard in our kicking game to gain some yards there. So I feel like overall, defensively, we'll be solid.
Yeah. The last few things we've probably taken up enough of your time, but we'll try to wrap it up with a couple more questions. Just looking at your schedule, there's nothing easy there. Nothing easy. You didn't schedule for a 2-8 record, and then on top of that, the district gets a little tougher. You add Belfry into the mix. Just talk about this schedule you've got, and the district getting even a tough district got even tougher.
That's the truth. So people say, "Hey, Coach, how come we got 28 out instead of 40 like we usually do?" I say, because those other 14 are scared to play the schedule. It's not an easy schedule.
No.
And what's not on there is we have Floyd Central coming for our first scrimmage, and our second scrimmage, we got Pikeville coming up to scrimmages. But you know what? If you scrimmage against Pikeville, you ought to be able to play Morgan County and Somerset. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And so I told our guys, quit looking at it as a negative and look at it as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So we play such a tough schedule early that by the time we get to district, the only team in there that's going to look different maybe than anybody, and I don't think they'll look a lot different. When you've played Somerset and you've played Prestonsburg, who was a Final Four team last year or Final 8 team, when you've played Somerset and you've played Prestonsburg and you've played Leslie County and you've battled with Pikeville in a scrimmage, I'm just trying to get them ready for district play.
Yeah.
When Belfry walks in, we'll be like, hey, we've been here. I mean, we know they're good. We know they're awesome. We know they're picked probably to dominate our district. They're moving down from 3A. They got high numbers on the 2A end, and we're low numbers on the 2A end. I mean, we get all that, but my thought is those first 6 don't count for anything, or first 5 don't count for a thing. Look at Shelby Valley last year. Shelby Valley was 1-5, 1-6, 0-6. Okay, and they roll in the district and they eke one out against Pike Central. Then they turn around and they eke one out against Betsy Lane, and then they beat up on us, and all of a sudden they're district champions. I mean, what's your goal? At the end of the day, your goal is to win your district, get a home playoff game, and make a run toward the state title. If you're not playing and coaching, let me say this. We coach for 2 things. We coach to win. We coach to make better men. If you're not doing those 2 things, you need to find another job. And so our philosophy is we're going to try and play the best football we can. At the end of the season, we'll see what happens.
And on that note, I mean, I think that is a great answer. I don't think another question deserves to be answered after that answer. I think that was great. So for Corey Vance behind the scenes, Coach Donnie Burdine, Randy White here. Thanks again for watching Unwired Appalachia, and we'll see you guys soon.